Reign. Chaos8Reign presents Gangsters by Insurance. Are you insured? With special guest Alonzo Hall. Broadcast June 13th, 2021. Enjoy.
The views expressed on Talk Real Solutions, hosted by Tyrone Thompson at TalkRealSolutions.com, are the views of Tyrone Thompson and do not reflect the views of TalkRealSolutions.com, YouTube, or etc. The content here belongs to Talk Real Solutions and its many contributors. Views and opinions expressed by all contributors belong to them and not TalkRealSolutions.com or Tyrone Thompson, the host, or etc. All data and information provided on the site is for informational purposes only. Talk Real Solutions makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information on this site and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis.
In a world where there's crime, corruption, violence, murder, rape, and all forms of atrocities that plague the world in which we live in today, what you're witnessing, we are living in a state of chaos, and to take a more greater or extreme of chaos to restore the order in which the world we live in today.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome again to another session here on Chaos8Reign channel. As you know, I am Chaos8Reign here. 1 second. Let me do this. And today, For those that are listening for the first time on Chaos Reign channel, welcome. For you to hold on a second, guys. 1 second, people. Okay, it's nothing. If you want to find out more on this show or many other episodes, go to talkrealsolutions.com. Under talkrealsolutions.com, you'll find the information on the 3-point plan for Black empowerment, Black achievement. Also on the Talk Real Solution website are a list of Black-owned banks and all other information, including the latest articles, news that's present here in America and outside the United States. So if you want to know the latest information and follow what's going on this session, go to talkrealsolutions.com. Also, you can now follow us on Facebook, on Talk Real Solutions Facebook. Hit the like button and follow us on there. In there, you'll find the same episodes as broadcast here, and you can get invited now to the private chat room on talkrealsolutions.com, which gets very hectic, very raunchy, very in-depth, a lot of intellectual minds going back and forth on current events. So if you want to get the tea of what's, from other people's perspective, join the Facebook group. Trust me, you will not regret it. And also, you can follow this particular stream on Talk Real Solution on YouTube. You can subscribe to that channel as well. And not only that, you can also subscribe to Chaos Reign channel, especially Chaos Reign channel. As you know, we're pushing to get to 1K subscribers on Chaos Reign channel. Still got a little bit long way to go, but like always, if you subscribe and hit the like and comment on Chaos Reign channel, I will greatly appreciate it. Trust me, it helps the growth of the channel. It helps what needs to be more improved, and also what things that you want to talk about from Chaos Reign. I gave my own perspective of reality, what is out there in the world we live in today. And like always, with chaos, there does bring order. Do not forget that, people. Never forget that. But enough of that. Let me give you the title and details of today's stream. All right, let's look. Let me refresh this. Here we go. Tonight, or today's stream, is titled Chaos Reign presents Gangsters by Insurance. Are you insured? And when I mean, are you insured? Not just regular insurance, but are you really insured? And my special guest, if you dare, press star 61. I'd like to bring back and welcome back on Talk Real Solutions, again, the one and only, the Blue Blaze himself, Alonzo Hall. Good evening, Alonzo. Can you hear me?
Hello, how are you, brother?
I'm good. Welcome back to Talk Real Solutions, brother. I told you I was going to eventually bring you back for something. And like always, people, as we wind down the conclusion of this particular stream, I will, like always, give the detailed descriptions for you to follow and ask for consultation and advice from the one and only Alonzo Hall. So what is good, Alonzo? It's good to see you. What you been up to, brother?
I've been doing all right. I've been trying to build this empire as well as keep myself in good spirits with everything that's going on in the world today.
Okay, excellent. So, as you know the title, Alonzo, if I can remember, did we ever cover this part the last time we talked, the first time I had you on here on my channel, in regards to subject matter, or we haven't really covered this aspects of, in regards to gangsters, or when I mean people that are in the criminal underworld, the cartels stuff, that they, from what you have revealed, have been meddling around with insurance institutions to help, I guess, liquidate assets or to build some form of wealth or to, recoup in some way. Can you explain to the people a little bit more about this and the importance of where insurance
Sure.
comes to play?
Yes, I'm very glad you asked that question. So let me start by, because if anybody's new, you may not be familiar with me. Back in 2011, I started in the world of insurance and financial services in New York City. Did a short term as a stockbroker, but my main thing is insurance and financial services as a whole. In terms of what gangsters do for money, first I'd like to clarify what we think of, and this is the perfect picture when we look at gangsters. It's usually somebody in a suit and tie, whereas generally in the African-American communities, we think of the quote-unquote gangster as someone who is willing to participate in wanton violence and sell drugs. But when you look at mafioso or cartels, those are the thugs, and they're usually lower level in the organization. However, when we look at these gangsters who were doing organizational things, in 2002, 5 men from the Colombian cocaine cartel were indicted for what's called money laundering, which is basically putting illicit or dirty money into a financial vehicle or with a financial institution, understanding that there may be a little bit of a loss, but then getting that illicit money back what's called clean. Once it's clean, you can go live your life and not worry about getting busted on the RICO laws. So in 2002, 5 gentlemen got caught hiding $80 million of Colombian cocaine cartel money in life insurance policies. One of the indictees was caught on another trafficking charge, I believe in San Francisco, for moving 13 tons of cocaine a week. Whereas in our neighborhoods, I don't know anybody moving 13 ounces, let alone tons, of cocaine a week. So they're also using investment-grade life insurance policies, which is disheartening because I can't even talk to many of our community about these investment-grade life insurance policies. But there are a multitude of ways that even gangsters, dudes who are living maybe a illicit or a street life, to protect themselves, their investments, their financial today, their financial tomorrow, and that of their family. And you can actually do that through life insurance. Does that clarify it a little bit?
Yes, that clears enough. One thing I find very intriguing, I hear a lot about money laundering, and we never understand the real definition of it. We always think that people that are doing like criminal activities under the radar or black market, etc., that normally they just put the money in certain secure bankings and other institutions, or even buy property, or even go as far as making small business around certain parts of the neighborhood to what we call liquidate fast money. If you remember the shows like, for example, Power, when Tasha, because she didn't really finish her degree in accounting, but she has some understanding. She knows how to what we call liquidate money, right? They did not know in that same series that people like to watch, Ghost did have insurance policies too. And I think he had like insurance policy for his life living and for his death, correct? If you remember watching Power. Oh. You there, Alonzo? Alonzo? While he gets his mic ready. like I said, they clean their money, so that way they could continue to work under the radar, so they don't get caught by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Feds, or any other things like taxation or etc. And people don't know that in the criminal underworld that they have to play not only the hide and seek game, but they have to play the corporate ladder world in regards how to really still make their money without being seen and caught. And we're not talking about the low-level little thugs that sells push weed or heroin or that in your normal hoods. We're talking about people that know people. And a cartel is a big organization, a well-structured organization, people. And knowing this, that they have to know and have the right connections to play this game right. And it goes beyond the skin color. I don't want to apply race to this, but normally when we talk about cartels and all that, we talk about people that's mostly non-black on the average. And most people think that cartels are, black gangsters. That doesn't fall in the equation. They're talking about people that pushing real weight, no connections. When you watch on TV in regards to the view of gangsterism, that so-called black male thug, that is not actual gangster. That's just the little tidbits or little drops in the bucket list to actual real gangsters. That's doing real things and doing real smart. Hold on. Let me see if Alonzo's there. I think something happened. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Alonzo, you there?
Hello?
Yes. Yeah, I did.
Oh, man, was I muted that whole time?
I believe so. I couldn't hear you. I didn't check you were muted on the side, unfortunately. I wouldn't know I'm aboard. So if you just said something.
No, I was muted on my phone. I apologize.
Oh,
basically,
damn.
what I said was it's absolutely true what they did in Power.
But you get the question,
ironically
I said,
enough,
right?
Mm-hmm. Say again?
You get the question, right? I said earlier, right?
Yeah, no, I get the question.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
But so the answer is simply they did money launder, and they did take that dirty money and purchase things like real estate, etc. But you can't purchase anything with dirty money, not in those large sums. So what they had to do was find a financial institution and actually wash the dirty money first. So when you see the shows like Power doing money laundering, yeah, they are putting it into legitimate businesses, etc., but you can't start a legitimate business with illegitimate money. That's what happened to like Irv Gotti and Murder Inc. They were accused of starting their business with money from, Supreme, from Queens.
I heard about it.
Well, unfortunately, they claim to find out that, no, it wasn't started. It may have been started with illicit money, but they can't prove it because any illicit money was washed prior to trying to put that money into a legitimate business.
Okay.
So they're always going to wash their money, but they're going to wash it before they put it into that legit biz like they did on Power.
Excellent. The call number for today's stream is 712-770-4160. The access code is 917-324-POUND. I repeat, 712-770-4160. Access code 917-324-POUND. And today's stream is titled Chaos8Reign presents Gangsters Buy Insurance. Are you insured? Now, since I've came across this information, and you've been talking about this repeatedly on your own channel, which I advise people to subscribe to Alonzo Hall, a.k.a. the Blue Blazers channel, you learn a lot of information, certain ways how to go about getting actual insurance, and etc. Let me turn this off. I can hear that. And one thing is evident, Alonzo, that in your own, I would say, dissertation, you explained and told most people that's not aware of that a lot of, let's say, minority people, aka black people, that buy insurance, they're actually buying insurance incorrect in a sense. Can you go in detail of what is the correct way and what is always the incorrect way in regards to going about insurance?
Perfect. I love the question. That's a very good question that I'd like to have as many people as possible here. So the article that I was referencing basically stated that more African Americans buy life insurance at a higher rate than others. The difficulty is they don't buy it properly, and I can actually surmise that from my own experience of a decade of sitting with people. What happens is this. When we go to the African American, well, let me speak to this. So experts such as Dave Ramsey or Sue Zorman, because I'm sure everybody's heard of those quote unquote experts, will tell you, first of all, you need a savings fund of at least 8 months of your expenses plus savings. So if you save $100 a month, you also need 8 months of your expenses plus 8 months of saving $100 a week for 8 months set to the side. And this is coming from Sue Zorman and Dave Ramsey. These are sources that I'm sure a lot of people trust. Experts will also explain to you that when you're insuring a life or you're protecting an income, there's a rule of 20, which is 20 years of your income. It's very similar to health insurance. If you have a child, basically they're on your health insurance if they're in college till they're 24. So when you're working for this lifestyle to provide for your family, you want to provide that lifestyle. God forbid you got hit by a bus and didn't make it home last night, till they're at least 24. It gives them a fair shake in life. What often that means, you need generally 20 years of your income. So the average person who makes $50,000 a year, on average, needs at least $1 million worth of life insurance to properly protect their legacy. And what ends up happening in the African-American household is we go, well, look, number one, I'm shopping by price, so I want to see how much this costs when, we'll put as much money as possible into a quote-unquote stock or investment, not having an exit strategy, meaning knowing where we're going to exit and where our dollars are actually coming out. But we get excited because Dogecoin went up 5% with no exit strategy. The life insurance policy, just like an amortization schedule on a mortgage, will literally tell you at this point, you've put in this many dollars, you have access to this many dollars. It's a contract. But what we do is we buy 1 year's worth of income. So now 1 year's worth of income, when you have a child and a family at home, let's say it's a husband who makes $50,000 a year, gets himself a $100,000 life insurance policy, doubles his income, and then dies. Well, two things happen when a person dies. Not only does their presence go away, but also their income goes away. So now his income is gone, so the money that left the wife able to be at home, well, that's not there because the average funeral is $21,000. So of that $100,000, $21,000 taken away leaves you with $79,000, which is about a year and a half of expenses. But things have also changed because now his presence isn't there. So things like bringing the kids to school, picking them up and after school, picking them up from soccer practice or whatever, band camp, karate, Pop Warner football, which a lot of us get into, AAU basketball. Well, guess what? Somebody's got to physically. So now you don't even have actually a year's worth of income. What others generally do is buy at least 3 years of their income. So there's a term. It'll say, the wealthy plan for 3 generations while the broke plan for Saturday night. So what ends up happening is we're not purchasing enough life insurance to even do anything but bury us. So then the next generation starts back from zero. I'll give you an example. When I was actually doing real estate in Canarsie, I had a gentleman whose mother passed away because a lot of us think real estate is the fastest, easiest way to generational wealth. It's part of it, but you have to protect your investment. With a 30-year mortgage, on average, most people refinance within the first 10 years of purchasing that home. That means they restart the mortgage. And on average, most people aren't buying a house until 52. So they're paying until they're 82. But most black people don't live till 82. So you die. And now you leave, quote-unquote, real estate, which is a mortgage that if your child is paying rent on their own, they probably can't afford a mortgage. But it happened to a buddy of mine. He lived in Atlanta. His sister lived in Jersey. The mother's house was on East 98th Street in Canarsie. She died, left them the house. That house is now owned by East 98th Street LLC because some small hats decided that since you guys can't afford the mortgage, etc., and your mother had no life insurance to leave you any money to pay for these obligations, we'll go ahead and take that off of your hands via bank foreclosure. So that's one way that we don't purchase insurance properly. The second way is we also think of things in a small scale. You'll get agents who will get some training and say, okay, well, hey, we'll put you in the $1 million policy. That's $50,000 a year for 20 years. Now, when you're talking about true wealth, you're going to say, okay, I want to set up a trust fund, because we also always hear a lot of fellas talk about trust funds. But in order to, there's a main word in that trust fund, right? And it's not trust. It's called fund. Therefore, you either have to have the funds or you have to supply the funds. In terms of supplying the funds, the easiest way to do that is through a life insurance policy. So when we need to replace that $50,000 of income, we need to get a money market account at that point and live off the interest. So here's how the wealthy would replace one person's annual income of $50,000. They would know that we are in a 1% interest rate market, which we're actually in a lower. Like I said, the highest yield savings account you can get currently, well, as of 2 days ago, I'll probably check again Wednesday. Every Wednesday the prime rate changes. But currently it's through Goldman Sachs, a.k.a. the Marcus Millichap account. And the highest annual percentage you'll get is 0.5%. That means half of 1%. So when you're holding your money in these accounts, you're going to go, okay, I have a $50,000 annual income that I want to replace. So I'll get $5 million worth of life insurance. When this person dies, this $5 million doesn't go to the family so we can go buy houses and Porsches. It goes to a money market account. In that money market account, it's going to grow annually 1% interest. What is 1% of $5 million? It just so happens to be $50,000. So it just so happens that you're replacing this annual income of this husband of $50,000 a year in perpetuity. Now, when his children get college age and he didn't only leave 20 years money, he left infinite money. Well, now I'm college age. I'm ready to go to college. I don't need to go get a student loan. I got $50,000 from my daddy coming in. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. Also, you did mention that you came across a scenario of a particular brother you, I guess, tried counsel, and he didn't take it seriously, and miraculously he kind of transitioned prematurely, or I'm not sure what happened, and he had a family with a child that is, I guess, college age now when this happened?
Yes, she is. So about 2 years ago, close friend sat with me, and he was like, you know what, I keep hearing you talk about this little life insurance stuff. Let me just go ahead and hear me and see what it's about. So I sat with him, and also, I'll get to that after, but I sat with him, and we, after the consult, I showed him, a policy for what was his budget of him willing to spend, which was about $100 a month, which, to be honest, is pretty good. I'll tell any and everyone you should be spending at least $100 a month on your life insurance, and especially if you sit with me, because I'm probably going to put you in an investment-grade policy. and do a bunch of stuff to overfund it. But we'll talk about that, or, if you want to get into investment-grade stuff, schedule a consult. But he decided that it wasn't that important. He'd rather go with the high wave of cryptocurrency. As a licensed financial professional, I can't exactly play with cryptocurrency. Well, not that I can't. I just personally don't. But in terms of that, he has his crypto wallet, which is password encoded. Unfortunately, this year he died. 2 years ago, his daughter was a teenager in high school. She's now college age. She's 19. And he, maybe 6 months before he and I sat down, actually closed on a house, which was about $150,000, $200,000. So he left no protection for that investment, but he died, so he did do the right thing and leave his family generational wealth in the form of real estate, except for the fact that it didn't take him 30 years. It took him 2 years to die. So there's 28 years of a mortgage left to be paid. So since she's the next of kin, guess who's going to inherit that debt, that liability, that struggle? She is.
She is. Isn't it her and not her mother, but just the daughter going to inherit all that?
He was married, yes.
Okay.
I don't think he was married, but I think he was in the process of that. So everything would go to the biological kids.
Oh, wow. So that means all the debt that he accumulated, or even if he has some resource that's locked away either for a digital wallet or any other assets, I'm not sure how much he is entitled to that, because I don't think when people die, not married or anything, they don't have no actual will, how I look at it. So that means you're leaving the sole responsibility of dividending the assets to the courts, possibly, right?
Yeah. Oh. That's actually called dying intestate. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want to speak to that and the failure of financial professionals in this field. So there's a few companies that capture people who look like me in droves. They definitely recruit a lot of African Americans, and they have a multi-level marketing strategy. The problem is, and this doesn't even just apply to those companies, you can get people who are with prestigious companies such as Prudential, because I'm sure that's a name everybody's heard, or MetLife, another name everybody's heard, who may not be able to do the proper job. So you also have to realize, as an individual, when you're sitting with that financial professional or that insurance agent, and they sell you your life insurance, their job is not done because they wrote a life insurance policy on you. That's not the end of the story. See, when you're sitting with a true financial professional like myself, number one, I'm going to take you on a discovery session, and we're going to do what's called identify and then protect your lifestyle. And that changes. So that's a relationship we continue. The second reason they don't complete their job is because just because I give you life insurance don't mean nothing. Just like when I sat with that man, me giving him a life insurance policy isn't the end of the job. That doesn't help his daughter become completely covered. So even if he did purchase a policy from me, that's not the end of the story. So I don't want anyone to think that just having a life insurance policy is the end of the story. There are other professionals that should be a part of your financial team. It's just like when you deal with a doctor. The first thing you do is you go in there and you get your vitals taken by a nurse. Then she passes you to someone else, and then the doctor comes in and says, oh, okay, here, take these drugs. Well, after you sit with that life insurance agent, they need to be either partnered with, referral partners, or just know somebody who is an estate planning attorney, because you, as a person who is protecting your financial today, your financial tomorrow, and your family's legacy, need to have all bases covered. So that attorney needs to come in and help you draw up a will and final testament. Because, like the situation you said, well, you know, the woman he was with might want to inherit that house.
Yeah.
But if she's not married, she ain't getting nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the state's going to say, well, yeah, you say he wanted you to have it, but we're going to go by what we determine. And we determine we're going to give it to this 19-year-old girl who's unprepared.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Oh. I hope y'all guys getting this actual information. I would call it getting this game, but I call it information because information is what you solely want to do with it, and it's freely what you do with it is the determining factor if it's going to either save you, your loved ones, or it's going to keep you in total perpetuity. In other words.
Exactly.
One thing is evident that it comes to the point where we do things as a community, and I think the emphasis, even today, I'm looking right now, not much people watching right now, and I expect it because I see people's priorities. You get me? And it's kind of frustrating, but at the end of the day, I could see the mindset of our people that only time when people really take action is when tragedy happens, when there's a incident, something that where they need something quick, fast, now. That's the only time you see our people react and move like they have some goddamn feet on their foot, or they have some burning on their feet. They have to go put it out on the fire, or put it out on the water.
I want to speak to that too when you're done.
Yeah, go ahead. Speak on that.
So in terms of that, especially with, so there's a couple of things. Number one, this topic is boring as shit. Insurance is boring, and I'm in it. And I eat, sleep, shit it every day. It's a boring topic. Don't get me wrong. But there's a reason it's boring. And that's because the money is consistent. And consistency is supposed to be boring. Because it's like, it's almost like a Steph Curry shooting a three-point, right? So he kind of knows it's going to happen, so he just kind of throws it and turns around because he knows it's going to happen. It's consistent, right? But then the other issue is that as black people, even today, right, we have distrust with things like insurance companies. And there's good reason. In 2021, in Georgia, recently, a doggone a judge overturned a case from discriminatory insurance sales towards black people. In 2021, bro, we're still getting discriminated against by insurance companies themselves.
There's reason for that, and I'm going to say that after say. Continue. Go ahead.
Okay. I mean, even so much as when I was in Manhattan on 100 Broadway, which is where I was with Mutual of Omaha, and I used to sit and do appointments, I would have some other agents who wouldn't go to certain parts of Harlem or the Bronx. Now, a lot of my early book of business was senior citizens, and a lot of them were in the projects in Harlem and the Bronx. I used to go everywhere. In fact, I used to go to the projects in the Bronx a lot, where the sex, money, murder, blood, and I used to always wear blue paisley ties just to upset them. But these people would go, oh, no, I won't go in there because as soon as I pull out, I'll call them and be like, I got something else. I have an emergency, whatever. Well, you know, I was at a point where I was making damn near $20,000 a month. I only did it for 3 months in 2012, going to the project because somebody was there to actually service them. And even though they weren't buying it right, and at the time I didn't know how to sell it right, so I only sold them minimal policies that wouldn't leave their families burdened with their death. But at least we got that versus just, I ain't even going to go see them. So now we have people who's like, well, they won't even come see me. Why should I get this? Or when they do come see me, they sell me a policy that's only a $5,000 death benefit, but I paid $14,000 into it. Right? Chopper again. I'm gonna tell you, I'm from the streets, bro. Like I said, 2000 3 days before Mother's Day, I got shot 5 times in front of my mother in the Trey 4, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I was out there kicking up dust. This is why I feel so passionate about this stuff, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got shot in the shoulder, in the back, in my head twice. Well, it grazed my head twice. And I walked out of the hospital under my own power after 14 hours. No wheelchair, no crutches. I walked on my own 2 feet. Anybody that ever been shot know they generally force you to use a wheelchair or crutches, regardless of where you were hit. But so when I talk about this life insurance, I talk about it from a multitude of angles because luckily I had the ability to gain the experience. You can use this as a tax shelter. You can use it to buy real estate. You can use it to fund your retirement. You can use it as collateral for an actual loan instead of borrowing against it itself. But again, all this stuff, all this negative stuff against us. Back in the 1800s, black people created our own insurance companies. Alonzo Herndon created Atlanta Life Insurance, and his partner created North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance. North Carolina Mutual is currently in what we call rehab, meaning that company is going bankrupt and it's looking to be purchased. In 2017, Magic Johnson bought an insurance company called Equitrust. Do you know how much he paid for this? $17 billion.
What?
Would it be?
Of his own money? What?
It may be partnered. You know, he owns a lot. Magic.
Whoa!
But look up Equitrust. Yeah, Google Equitrust. He owns that company. I think they're currently down to a valuation of like $13 billion. They've lost a little bit of money, but they're still a heavy hitter. Ethos Life Insurance is part owned by Kevin Durant and Jay-Z. So gangsters buy insurance, homie. You feel me? But it's not taught to us properly. I know too many dudes who got money on their head and they brag about it. The ops put 50 racks on my head, but I'm still a gangster, following them. Now I'm talking Chicago. But you ain't gangster enough to put money on your own head? Come on, cuz. I'm so gangster, I put $1 million on my own head. Who won it? You see what I'm saying? But we're not that gangster, apparently. Because when I talk to homies in the hood, I don't even talk to them about the death benefit. I'd be like, oh, you like interest rates? Yeah. All right, let's go to J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and get you a bank account. And let's say they got 0.75% interest. That means off of every $100 that you keep in that bank account for 1 year, you'll get 75 cents per year. And it only grows off of that 75 cents, off of that $100. So when you get $100.75, next year you don't get the percentage off of $100.75. Next year you only get the percentage off of $100. Whereas in a life insurance policy, it grows at a minimum compound, meaning on top of itself, interest rate of 2%, which is usually monthly. So what that means is month one, you put in $100 into that life insurance policy, and by next month it's worth $102. But because it's compound interest, you're going to get interest the following month on the $102. So then you're going to get, You're going to get $2.20. So now your balance goes from 102 to 104.20. 420. And then the following month, you're going to get interest on the 104.20. But it just keeps ballooning. And that's the power of compound interest. And that's what we don't learn. Again, I released in Chaos. Do me a favor. Shoot me, I think actually shoot me your email address because I want to email you the document that showed from 2018 the 4 biggest banks in the U.S., Wells Fargo, Chase, Citibank, and Bank of America, put more money into their life insurance, their cash value life insurance, than into the stock market. At the end of 2018, the reports I'm going to show you are like mid-quarter reports. But at the end of the year report, it showed that at the end of 2018, all of the largest banks in the United States combined invested $3 billion into the stock market. And this is what us to go after. Meanwhile, those same banks that we all put our money in took your money, $22.5 billion, and put that in cash value life insurance. I have a video on it on my channel called BOLI, Bank-Owned Life Insurance. Just like I have a video on my channel called COLI, Corporate-Owned Life Insurance, because the life insurance that you got from your job that I hear so many people talk about, from my job, that's corporate-owned life insurance. That's basically there so that when you die, your job can replace you. Not so that your family can get, and even if it is for your family to get money, I implore anyone in America who works anywhere in America to tomorrow go to your HR department and get your documents and see how fast you get them. Probably not fast at all. Now imagine being your family, grieving your dead ass, not knowing who to go see in your company, to then go to your company, go to your HR department, get the proper documentation to your HR department so that they can then release or go through their stuff and then release the proper documentation to you so that you can then go and try to get the insurance money that your job has on your dead ass.
Wait, hold
also,
on. I got something.
No.
Hold on.
In fact, I'm also email that to you right now.
Thank you, Alonzo. Before you continue, listen here, people. If you've never been fucked before, you just got fucked. It's just like that movie on Metro when the guy told Eddie Murphy when he was said to hold that button so his girlfriend will get her head cut open like a can opener. He said, when you think you just fuck people, you just got fucked. That right there is a proof evident of the dangers of being employed if you don't know your rights properly. I did not know that. How many of y'all know that? Do you work in the company said they're going to insure you? Do you know if they're really insuring you or they're insuring themselves to protect their ass? We should ask these questions. Because I know people that died, and y'all know people that died either on work or some issue. Was you really covered by these same jobs you work? And some of these jobs that either are career jobs or any form of employment you work, are they really covering you after you put in 10, hell, even close to 20 years, possibly? Maybe less than 10? These are questions should be asked. And we should give thanks to Alonzo Hall for revealing that, because I did not know that. And I tell you, most of y'all that think this is not really important now, you're going to go back to this and you're going to hear this. God damn it. And one of the things I do want to say, I forgot to say this during the beginning of my broadcast. The purpose of Chaos Reign is I'm here to raise and grow your attention span. The average attention span for the human being is under 5 seconds. That is no good. You cannot maintain learning, kind of listening, grasp information that is necessary on anything that is what you consider quote-unquote boring. So I'm here to raise your attention span. It needs to be greater than 5 seconds, people. And the reason why I'm telling you this, because if your attention span is raised better when you watch things that doesn't have no shit applied to your own life, like sports, entertainment, etc., I can go on, and you could maintain attention span for longer than 5 seconds, that tells me you are trained to be dumb. You are slow. And you must increase and better your attention span. So the job of Chaos Reign, I'm here to raise your attention span. And it's going to be great on all platforms of all information that you think is good or bad, and it's going to be higher than 5 seconds. Thank you. Let me give a call number one more time. The call number for today's show is 712-770-4160. The access code is 917-324#. I repeat, 712-770-4160. The access code is 917-324#. Today's subject, Chaos Reign presents Gangsters buy insurance, but are you insured? Now, Alonzo, as you were continuing, but if any of us, I do have maybe a question. You have any, you can continue on what you're saying. I had to add that in because, good.
Nah, I'm glad you added that in. I just sent you the document from the Bowley reports that I was telling you about the 4 banks. Because I think that stuff like that is important to know. So, again, I do charge a consult fee, but I'm also a person, dude, like I said, almost losing my life made me realize, damn, I got to teach my people something. And so if I have to, sit here for hours and hours and hours and tell this stuff, then that's what it will be. If I got to go clout chase and go on everybody panel in America, then that's what it's going to be. But y'all going to get this work.
Oh, yeah, you're going to
get
this
work.
work.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So did you know that life insurance pays dividends?
Did anybody knew that? But always, when people think about dividends, they think, oh, but I'm only getting insurance for potential I might lose my life. I was not thinking about any dividends. Usually when people hear about dividends, somebody say, if I buy certain stocks in the stock market for Viva, TD Ameritrade, Robinhood, or et cetera, any form of company I buy, purchase certain share of stock, I will get some dividends every quarterly. I believe that's how it works. And I'm sure you can probably educate me more on this. Alonzo?
Yeah, generally dividends are paid quarterly. Sometimes annually. It really depends on the company.
Okay. All right, I see. Yeah, that's good. What is the average dividends? Does it range from different insurance companies, or there's like a set price for every dividend, or it depends on the person, package of life insurance?
It actually depends on the company and the policy. But if I can give you some insight, I'll give you an example. One of the companies I represent, which they pay they have a 4% dividend. But the 2 largest, actually I represent those 2 companies too, so I don't know if I should say their names. Friggin', I'll say it. So that company is a company called Emeritus. Another company that pays a large dividend is Mass Mutual, and they're at almost 8%, whereas the other company that I represent that pays the highest dividend is Lincoln Financial Group, and they pay almost 9% dividend, which is a huge percentage.
8-9%. And normally, if I can remember any dividends, most dividends don't even pay close to 10%. Last time I checked, I think they pay most maybe 3%.
Like 3% at the max.
Yeah. And that's nothing. That's nothing really. Unless you depend on how many shares you own, it might be some. But
I mean, you could get some 12% dividends, but again, you're talking big money and you're talking certain products that, to be honest, most Black Americans don't have access to. I'll give you an example. One of the products that I like to offer is something called an IRA or an annuity. Well, the difficulty that I have, especially when I speak to a lot of young Black men, they really like it because it's an attractive product, and then they're like, oh, it beats just about anything else out there if you're a conservative investor, but you still want growth. But the difficulty is there's a minimum that you can spend to get in there, and that minimum is $10,000. And usually, if I go to my company with a $10,000 annuity, they don't write it. They'll decline. They'll say it's not enough, and they won't even accept the money, which is a hard barometer for a lot of Black folk to just. First of all, we have issue trusting each other. So then, for another Black man to be like, "Well, you want me to give you how much? $10,000? It's kind of scary." Right?
Yeah.
But that's when we're talking $10,000, I'm just letting you, smell the bag. I ain't even letting you in the store yet. You just see the outside with $10,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I wish more gangsters would get into actually that. Because when we're speaking about gangsters, so this is a couple of things, and I know you wanted to interject. I apologize because I can ramble for a long time.
That's fine. That's fine.
But
We got time.
first of all, to avoid the gangster trap that we run into in Black America for black men, if you have a felony, you cannot get life insurance. You're automatically declined.
Oh, wow. Damn. Hold on, man.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And even further, sometimes, even if you just have a misdemeanor, what they will decline it is they will do your phone interview, they will do your paramed exam, and during your phone interview, they'll take all those questions, and then they'll email me, the agent, and say this policy is declined due to criminal activity. Now, I wasn't on the phone with you and the insurance company, but I set that call up because I'm the salesperson, so I take you through every step. So now you've spoken to the company, and they're like, oh, yeah, no, you had a brush-in with the law, criminal history declined. So now you can't even get the life insurance, and don't try to be slick and go to another company because there's something called the MIB, Medical Information Bureau. So all that information is shared behind the scenes with every financial institution. Now, there are some companies and policy levels that you can kind of get through it, but there's another trick for black men who are felons. And, again, that is that IRA. Because if you sit with the proper agent, like myself, an all-star agent, I'm going to put you into an IRA that also carries a death benefit. Now, in that sense, you're almost self-insuring, but because it grows at whatever percentage rate currently, the annuities I offer are anywhere from 1 to 4%, and I haven't found any other 4%. I've found like 3% to be the highest. And if you can find something higher than 3%, let me know the company so I could go represent them too. That's also the beauty, being a broker. So generally, black folks, you want to deal with a broker because a broker has your best interest in hand. I speak to people all the time who are like, well, what company do you work for? I don't work for a company, sir or madam. I work for you.
Mm-hmm.
So as a broker, I get you the best deal for you. If you want to go specifically to a company, because black folks, we get comfortable on brand name. Oh, well, I've heard of this company. Like, people have heard of Prime America, but they put you in shitty mutual funds and increasing term that sucks.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. I don't like to speak badly of any company. But, you know, it's bad. So much so that, you know, with Prime America being in bed with MetLife, you've probably heard of MetLife Investors. But what you didn't realize is that MetLife, the company itself, got in trouble by the financial institute, FINRA, for being in bed with Prime America. So if you'll notice, you don't hear of the company MetLife anymore. What you hear of is Bright House Financial, because Bright House Financial had to take over for MetLife because MetLife Investors still exist because they have contractual obligations to the shitty mutual funds that they partnered with Primerica to sell unsuspecting black folks.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Right? But you can get an insurance policy on your child as soon as 15 days old, so there's no reason to even worry about a felon. Imagine you get a policy on your kid, $1 million policy on your kid. People be like, I don't want to think about my kid dying. What did I say, your kid dying? Get $1 million because it's probably going to cost that much for them to go to college. I'll give you an example. When my godson was born in 2012, we were at his baby shower. His father's best friend got him probably one of the best gifts, in my opinion. You know, he was like, listen, I got him, you know, the best, wealthiest gift, so I'm going to go ahead and get it knocked out first. I got him some baby Jordans. He got him the, what are they, the Space Jam Jordans?
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, bro, you did that. I ain't even mad at you. I thought I was coming hard. I mean, I only got him $30,000, but, you know, them J's,
Mm-hmm.
So right now, yeah, that policy isn't fully mature. It's not worth $30,000 yet, but he's 8. He's got about $7,500 of liquid available to him. Can he still wear them baby J's?
Nope.
Did he bronze them baby J's?
Yep. Right, those bad boys.
Now, don't get me wrong. I would also buy him some baby J's because I'm a label whore, and I wear specific labels and stuff like that. A lot of that is also in the field I'm in. In order for me to charge, the consult fees I charge, etc., you got to play the game and look a certain way. But you can get a policy as soon as 15 days old on a child. Do it. Because then you're actually protecting their future insurability, and you're actually building them cash as they grow. If you get the proper policy. Not that Gerber grow-up plan BS. That's something called term to permanent. So what they do is they get you thinking, oh, well, I got my kids some life insurance, I'm good, and then that's a term policy until they turn 24. Once they turn 24 or 21, the age of majority, they can take it over and make the payments. That's why it goes and spikes up. They can get $100,000 now. But, again, you're buying insurance, but you're buying it wrong. It's like if I went to Le Cordon Bleu Institute and then went and bought, and tried to be a chef and went and bought some non-stick cookware. No, if you're a chef, you buy stainless steel cookware because you're going to have it on a lot of flames. You're going to be doing a lot of stuff. You're going to be scraping it up. You don't want non-stick BS. You want what the professionals use. It's the same thing here in this field. We don't want non-stick BS. We want what the wealthy use to create generational wealth. We believed in life insurance in the 1800s, and like I said, what ended up happening was Prudential and New York Life, which were the two largest life insurers back in those days, started declining people left and right because they were black. New York Life, actually, I am partnered with my man Eugene Mitchell, who has a $50 billion initiative, which was to get at least 200,000 black families to get at least $250,000 worth of life insurance. That created $50 billion that's going to go into the black community. Let me tell you a little joke, though. Last year, when everybody was dying from COVID, life insurance paid out $600 billion.
Okay.
Last year. I'm sorry, not 600. $60 billion. $10 billion more than this man raised over 7.5 years for black America. $1 billion of that went to black America, of that $60 billion.
I see.
So then we get stuff like Goldman Sachs or whatever. Oh, here's $10 billion, black women, black people. It's a drop in the pan. We can create our own banks. Then we don't have to worry about whatever. Yeah, initially we're using their money because we're getting their money from their institutions, but they're giving it to us in large amounts. Warren Buffett said when we started this whole Black Lives Matter, black men getting shot stuff, if more black men had high face amount life insurance policies, so he knew black folks were buying life insurance. He just said, y'all ain't buying enough or the right amount. If more blacks had high face amount life insurance, owners of these multi-billion-dollar companies like myself would step in and talk to the policemen and have them stop, because we do stuff like stop funding the policeman's ball, because we're tired of making people who we don't decide to be rich.
Oh, I've been hearing about that.
People. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. To cut in a bit.
Yeah, you heard about that.
And the reason why I'm hearing about it, because there was, not rumor, there was things that was discussed about solving the issues about, quote unquote, police brutality on black people, aka black men. That if enough of our children were insured properly, and I mean properly, like you said, because the whole premise of the stream is not only gangsters invest, but they invest very smartly and properly. that we as a people, community, we don't invest properly, that you will not see these people that are majority non-black in the number of 80% in the police force have the inclination and the excuse to be shooting black people, a.k.a. black men, freely and comfortable. And why I say this, because they know that somebody has to pay off this. And mind you, some people that lost their lives through police violence and stuff, they get little 7 pay and they go up on the podium and say, we was all good also because they got paid off. But imagine now more people got paid in the masses. You think these police going to go out their way and then think twice on without not only losing their job, but they have to pay out big time? Because insurance don't want to pay money. They want to at least keep enough money and liquidate when necessary. Correct, Alonzo?
Exactly.
So, what is the importance? I'm just ranting for a bit. The importance of when people don't understand that the importance of we having insurance and it should be insured rightfully. And I'm gonna say this personally, this is gonna hurt a lot of feelings. Cis black women are women, unfortunately, are having these kids and no father presence. The best thing you could do as a mother, if you're not going to educate your babies right, get them some proper insurance. At least. At least. That's the first thing you could do. And that don't cost much, especially if you have a newborn. You know how cheap that is? Alonzo, I know you mentioned this earlier, but maybe people are not hearing. Maybe you should repeat yourself in regards how cheaper it is to get it much earlier, especially if you have babies. Do you want to talk about that again, or you just, it's up to you. Because we don't understand that. Go ahead.
So, insurance is paid for by age and health, not by money. There is something called the cost of insurance. There's also something called an actuary. So these people literally count, well, every guy with 13 teeth to the left and, edge up with a zigzag and 5 beard hairs dies at this point. And they have it down to, that exact science. So when you apply, they've already got a table of where their risk is, and that's what costs you money for the policy. It's them risking, because what happens is it's what's called an obligatory contract. So they have to fulfill their obligation, obviously, as long as you've fulfilled your obligation of paying the premium. But let's say, Chaos, right now you and I were in the process of filling out a life insurance application.
Okay.
And you bought $1 million of life insurance from me right now. And we put in your bank account and everything. And before we submit, you sign it and everything, and you sign it. And you give $1 of premium. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's $2,000 a month, but all you got right now is $1. Mm-hmm. You put that $1 of premium into the pocket of the insurance company, because we put all your bank account and stuff there, right? So you put that $1 of insurance premium. Now, this is before they've even gotten the application. This is before they look at it. This is before they do the blood and urine. This is before they get your medical records, anything. Do you know from the moment you give that $1 in association with that life insurance policy, the law requires them to cover you. So while I'm on my way back to the office with your application and your $1 for this life insurance, you get hit by a bus and die, guess what? You're covered. Ooh. So I hear people, I want to think about it. Okay, well, while you're thinking about it, the insurance company is going to think about it too, and it can take 8 weeks at least, because usually it takes at least 30 days for us to get medical records from your doctor.
Oh, wow.
But people always want to think about it. Like I said, I was pissed off. I spoke to a 59-year-old man who had 2 strokes and a heart attack 6 months ago. I want to leave something for my children. Doesn't know how much money he makes a month, but was willing to spend $150 for a final expense policy. I said, well, with your health conditions, you're not really going to qualify, so this is more expensive because they're taking more risk. So they're only going to give you a maximum of this. which final expense policies are like the Colonial Penn, or you see the commercials on TV with Alex Trebek. Some states it's a maximum of $50,000, but most states it's a maximum of $25,000 that you can get, and it's very expensive because they don't do any health exams or anything. But he's like, damn, that's expensive. You know what? I'll just wait. So I was like, what are you going to wait for? You think you're going to get healthier?
Are you going to get healthier tomorrow?
Okay, you're going to get healthier tomorrow. You're going to. You think the further away from the heart attack you got, the better it is for you? No. They're going to be like, well, now you've been out of a heart attack. You 1, 2, 3 heart attacks. So the likelihood that you have a 4th heart attack is higher.
Yeah.
So the longer you wait, you're just doing yourself a disservice. You're just making it more expensive every month.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But then, again, like I said, I want to talk about declines as well, because we have to be right and exact, and there's a lot of stuff that's on these tables. You know, small health conditions. We look at your family health history. So what we want to find out, did your mama or daddy die before 60 or 65? Yes or no? Why? Again, a lot of these questions most people haven't been asked, and they're like, well, I never heard of this, because they haven't dealt with an agent like myself who is going to deal with big numbers. I generally try to, if I'm going to sell you some insurance, I'm generally going to try to get you to get at least $1 million before we have even further conversation. Look, if you ain't getting $1 million, you're really not covering yourself, because $1 million ain't but $50,000 a year for 20 years. So if you're not talking $1 million or better, you're probably not having a conversation with me. You're probably having a conversation with one of my sub-agents. Yeah. But when you're talking about this, I also like to set your expectation, because there's a lot of this process that people don't know. So, for example, when you apply for life insurance, generally if you're applying for $250,000 or more, they're going to have you do what's called a paramed exam. So they're going to send a licensed nurse to come take blood, urine. They may take an oral swab. Depending on your age and the amount of coverage, they're going to take an EKG. They're also going to do a script check, so they're going to check all your prescriptions. We're also going to do the MIB. We're also going to get your medical records. Depending on the size of policy, we're going to get anywhere from 3 years to 6 years of your medical records. I'll give you an example. I was sitting with a white man in Pleasantville, New York, who was an architect. He built his house from the ground up. He made at least $100,000 a year. His mortgage was $2,000 a month, but living in frou-frou nice Long Island, his property taxes were more than his mortgage at $3,000 a month. This man decided to purchase a life policy because the emergency happened. He was at his next-door neighbor's house. The guy was about 44 years old. He used to jog, run, everything. His daughter's sweet 16 birthday party. He's there having a ball, and he dropped dead from a heart attack. He was like, I didn't expect it to happen. This guy works out every day. He jogs, da-da-da-da. Well, then this man decided to purchase. His wife actually was like, oh, no, we ain't going out like that. Gave me a call and was like, I need you to come here yesterday. We need some life insurance, because if this mofo dies, this was a white woman, if this mofo dies, me and these 4 kids aren't about to leave this house and be screwed. So she forced him to buy a $1.2 million life insurance policy from me. He wasn't trying to do it. She was like, nah, you about to do that, son. I ain't having that. I'm not about to be out here unprotected. And these little boys we got ain't about to be unprotected. So do that. Now, what he didn't do was he wasn't all the way truthful with me. He gave me his doctor's information, but then when we were struggling to get the doctor's notes, I said, why can't we get the medical records? I finally went to the doctor's office myself to pick them up. And they were like, this dude hasn't been here in about 5 years, and the last time he was here, he had high PSA levels, which is a sign of prostate cancer.
Oh, wow.
Needless to say, he didn't get the insurance because he had prostate cancer. But, you know, he could have protected himself sooner. Magic Johnson actually found out he had AIDS by applying for life insurance. That's how he retired, because he was like, damn, I'm a multimillionaire. I should probably protect myself. I am about to sound like a thirsty hyena when I say this, but I haven't yet landed a baller. But every year I go to the Barclays Center to the NBA draft, to sell insurance and other financial services because hopefully, I'll get me a baller who has a contract large enough to afford what I sell. And, these guys don't take their financial advisors. Carmelo Anthony didn't take advantage of the financial advisor. And here's the crazy thing. A lot of these teams. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Continue.
A lot of these teams bring in a financial advisor that they work with. The difficulty is this. When you're looking at the NBA or the NFL, what is it full of? It's full of young black men. The financial services industry tends to be full of old white men. So, again, that mistrust. I don't trust this big old white crowd. Man, listen, I ain't about to let this dude manage my money. I'm good. I'm from the hood. I got millions. I'm going to be playing for years. I'm good. So they don't even take the financial advice from their financial advisor. But, when I go in, I'm a little more relatable to them. Yo, bro, I come from where you come from. Maybe not the exact city and state, but, I kind of understand some of the walks of your life. So I try to go to the Barclays Center every year and recruit. Again, I'm also explaining this to give a clear picture to your listeners that I'm not a fly-by-night agent, and I ain't your average agent, because your average agent or broker ain't going to know half of the stuff I know. Again, like I said, life insurance pays dividends. They also, there's so much stuff. Like I said, investment-grade life insurance, which is what I like to sell. Actually, let me do this. Everybody's familiar with the stock Tesla.
Yeah.
And if you recall, Chaos, a few months back, when Tesla was in its little growth spurt, everybody was excited because Tesla was going to attach to the S&P 500. Do you remember those days?
I think I remember they said it was going to be public. That's what it is.
Okay. So Tesla was going to attach to the S&P 500. It's basically going to be accepted on that indice, which is cool. But did you know that life insurance has been attached to the S&P 500 for the last 120 years?
Well, insurance has been around for over a century, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's attached to the stock market.
Yeah. So during the Great Depression, the life insurance was still paying dividends. During the Great Depression, life insurance was still paying dividends. While everybody else was jumping out the window because the stock market was crashing, life insurance companies were still paying dividends. So they were still profitable. Because death ain't going nowhere. Everybody going to die. That's why funeral homes are lucrative, right? Death ain't going nowhere. Everybody got to die. Just like the agriculture will never go bankrupt. Why? Because everybody going to eat, right? So as long as we have this habit called eating every day, the agriculture world will go nowhere. As long as we have this thing called life insurance and the funeral world will go nowhere because folks die, period. But, again, you can get it as soon as 15 days old. It pays dividends. It's attached to the S&P 500. There are also investment-grade policies where you can have the best of both worlds, meaning you will get a lot of the benefits of the S&P, but you won't have the downside. Now, there are also variable life insurance policies which will those are variable, so those are completely tied to the stock market. Those are very dangerous because your death benefit and your premium are attached to the stock market, which if the stock market crashes and you have $1 million policy and, the market crashes 25%, now you only have a $750,000 policy. That can make a huge difference.
Wow. Didn't know that. Did not know that. Woo. Wow.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go for so long.
No, wait. Stand by. The call number for tonight's show is 712-770-4160, access code 917324#. I repeat, 712-770-4160, 4160, access code 917324#. Today's subject, Chaos8Reign presents Gangsters by Insurance. Are you insured? With my special guest, Alonzo Hall. Yeah, we say a lot. And people, like I said, we're going to be on here for like another 5 to 10 minutes. So if you have any questions for Alonzo Hall, please raise your hand now. Do so. He's here. Like I said, guys, I bring certain guests, for certain subject matter. As you know, with the economic side of Chaos8Reign channel, I know it doesn't get much popular, it doesn't get much clickbait or views. I understand, but it is a necessity for men and women, especially men. If you're a brother or any men generally, if you're not really looking into or seeking the importance of, or don't know how to go about it, Alonzo Hall got you covered. This ain't no small-time brother. And I noticed I was reading the chat room, and, like I said, we could joke around with a lot of stuff, but this is serious at the end of the day. And I take things a little seriously. And like always, I present the information at hand. What you do with it is totally up to you. But, one thing I will say in regards to insurance, that if you as a parent, man or woman, not doing it for yourself and doing it properly, you should always think that, what are you really leaving your children? Because let's be honest, what is the average percentage, Alonzo Hall, for most people, particularly black people in America, leave anything for their children once they die? Do they have a number of stats on that? I don't know if you could answer this. If not, I understand.
I don't have the exact stat, but if you look, most Americans don't leave enough. Like I said, between 1 to 3 years is about the maximum amount of income that most Americans are leaving. Generally, you'll see some who will leave maybe 5 years of income. But for the most part, I'd say 90% of people who pass away don't leave anything for their heirs.
And are these people, on the average, Alonzo, the people that don't leave nothing make less than, I would say, under $500K a year, meaning under $250,000 a year? And they make that yearly?
Yeah, they definitely make under $250,000.
Okay. But anybody that makes greater than $1 million or more leaves something, correct?
Oh, yeah. People who are making $250,000 or more, they leave something, and then when you're getting into, the higher net worth, $500,000 and $1 million plus, they always leave something.
So for working Americans, not just poor folks, but just general working American people that are making above average or actually average income, 9/10 of the time, most Americans will fall on that category. If you're making just enough or getting by or whatever, most likely you're not going to leave enough for your children in the 90% percentile range. But now, if you know right information and plan accordingly, you will leave something that will hopefully sustain them for the first 3 years. That's most they can get, correct?
Well, it's not the most, but on average, that's if you can at least do that, then you're helping immensely for the future legacy of yourself. I'll put this in just to kind of I'm actually writing a book, and part of the passage in my book is I do mention some wealthy families. One of those families I mention is a family that everyone knows, and that's the Morgans. Now, nobody knows that they know the Morgans until I tell you who they are. J.P. Morgan of Morgan Chase Bank is the grandfather of Henry Sturgis Morgan of Morgan Stanley. So J.P. Morgan started Chase Bank, had sons, they did their thing. Grandson said, I want to do my own thing. I'm going to start this financial services company, Morgan Stanley. If anybody currently does business with like E-Trade, then you're dealing with Morgan Stanley. E-Trade was purchased by Morgan Stanley last year. Morgan Stanley is probably the largest financial services firm, above Goldman Sachs, above all those other, and screw Goldman Sachs. I don't like Goldman Sachs. I just have a personal vendetta because anybody else wants to deal with Goldman Sachs, you can deal with them. I just personally have a personal thing against them because I dealt with some other GS boys, is what we call them in our field, and we have a bit of a vendetta with GS, especially because I was a Mutual of Omaha guy on Wall Street at the time. So I really got beef with them GS boys.
Mhm. Okay. I get you. You know, it's funny with a lot of insurance companies, you know, because everybody is in business just to get as much out of everybody else. That, you know, like I said, people do their own proper research. There's nothing perfect, people. I just want to clear the airway on that. It's going to take out your part to do your own little digging into the matter of hand. But at the end of the day, you do need some form of livable life insurance, you know, for the living, not for the dead, I would say. I don't know about this dead life insurance. Everybody's comfortable that they're going to die, but they don't do anything now while you're still alive. What can I do to build some equity and, you know, build some form of small wealth? Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Gee. I mean, I could talk for another 2 hours about that. I realized that most of this stream, I was talking about death insurance versus life insurance. So
Okay.
I do want to hop off in a little bit, but I got to drop this for y'all.
Okay.
So, again, with life insurance, you can use it to fund college, like I showed you the example with my godson. You can use it to purchase real estate. I'll give you another example. You can actually use it to collateralize against a loan. So there was a time a few years ago where I was an agent for State Farm. I was working at State Farm. And I got a call, and I looked at my caller ID, and I was tripping out, and I was like, wait, why am I getting a call from Allstate? That's an opposing insurance company. Well, Allstate had recently, they sold all their life insurance holdings off to AIG, so now they don't sell life insurance. But the person who called from Allstate was opening or purchasing that particular business. So he worked there while he saved up the money to take over and make it his own company. So what he did was, I guess the owner was tired of waiting and said, look, I'm going to sell you the building and I'm going to sell you my book of business. Altogether, just give me $1 million. And the way you can do it is you'll just work and get your commissions, and as you get your commissions, you'll pay me. But I need you to get a collateral assignment. So he calls and he says, I need it was almost a $2 million policy because he wanted to leave something to his mom and sister. But he goes, okay, well, I need you to set this up as a collateral assignment. So the agent that I worked for, ironically enough, she'd been in the business about 25 years, never heard of a collateral assignment. He was like, do you guys do those? I was like, yeah, that's easy. But again, my experience allowed me to do that. So she was like, are you sure we can do that? We got to call home office. I was like, I'm not going to say her name, but I was like, look, relax. Well, the only thing that you're doing with a collateral assignment is making the person who loaned him the money the beneficiary of the insurance policy. You're going to make sure that you mark that information when you apply for it because of legalities and tax purposes. You know, it does go a little deeper, but that's the long and short of it. So you can literally secure a loan with your life insurance policy. This was a $1 million loan that this man secured through a life insurance policy. Nowhere did I say he had to die. I just said he had to use that for collateral. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. But like I said, I want people to get the fear of not worrying about death. You want to do this as soon as possible for while you're alive, and you want to do it for the living, not always think about death. Yes, death is always going to be certain as human beings, but you're still alive. You have air, you have breath, you can move, God willing. You know, you do this just to hope to build some equity and, hey, pass down some little wealth to your loved ones, your children, your son, your daughters, your maybe cousins, whoever that you trust. You know, this is probably good in the long run. You know, and like I said, this is the second show of dealing with insurance, and I never told you this story personally, Alonzo. Before we conclude this, I talked to an older black male. I'm not sure if he's still alive. Hopefully he is. And he told me about whole life insurance and stuff, and I never did listen back then. Probably back then, I probably should have tried it out, gone through with it. But like always, when you're young, you just don't think about these things. And I feel moving forward with us as a people in this 21st century, we're going to have to do things and start participating in things that make us very uncomfortable to hopefully leave something out. Because if they said, and this is what these same people that run the society, mostly non-black people, said that the black wealth in the black community, so-called ADOS wealth, will be obsolete in the next 33 years, 2053, it's telling.
Yep.
It is very telling. And then we never understand what is going to lead to us not having money, especially if you're a descendant of slaves in America that's been here for centuries. How is it that they have miraculously found a way to make you completely broke within the next 3 decades? We don't ask these questions. They say, well, maybe I should invest in this. Maybe I should. No. The only end solution, if I want to go there, if you as a black man are in these institutions of power, military, police, fire, EMT, the second best thing you could do, you get in a career, purchase some good life insurance, and build it up to the point where if you educate your children right, you want them to recycle and do this with their lives. You want to do this to a point where you are out of the red as people. Because let's be honest, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to go there. The reason why they're not looking into reparations, and they have the bill drew up about it, is because they're hoping and praying if they keep going way how they interrupt the environment we're in and hope that with our participation in our own demise, that there's going to be very little black people that are descendants on the soil in the next 20 to close 30 years. Because they say this country's going to be brownish. We always got to ask, what is the percentage of black people that's still intimate and procreating with other black people that's been here for centuries? We don't ask these questions because we think that you're black, it's good. No, it's much deeper because now they're going to put stipulations. You hear them talk about the stipulation rate. Say, well, we got to check how much percent you were in this soil, what ancestry you could, all this nonsense. And you know why they give you the runaround? Because they really don't want to pay you. So the best thing they can do is to prolong your demise, and it's going to be on your accord that you are going to commit self-suicide on yourself. They can kill you, but that's not fast enough. So they're going to hope that they create the atmosphere, the environment that you will do it yourself. They're hoping that you're going to procreate with other non-black people, mix in the bloodline, create mixed children, and eventually other means besides, suicide, heart disease, cancer, all these things that plague and hurt our community, because if America gets so cold, we get the flu and all that stuff, that it will accumulate to a point where now once that year comes by that date, in 33 years from now they'll propose that same bill that was constricted back in the 90s, say, okay, now we're going to start giving people some reparations. But by then, you're going to be so bleached out, and there's going to be very little you that's actual descendants of slaves going to get that. And they're banking on it. So the second best thing you could do, since you're not going to apply enough pressure if people really want reparations or they don't think it's important, the second best thing you could do if you're not a wealthy person, man or woman, get some goddamn life insurance. Purchase the good one. Go back to his playback. Alonzo Hall has given you enough information how to go about it properly. And I'm going to tell you another secret. I know certain other content creators, one that does real estate, and I'm not going to say names, don't say names, that even herself now is going into the insurance game because she knows the potential of how much wealth could be brought in to not only her company but to help others that's a part of her culture, race. So this is not no joke. They know something that you don't know. And let's be honest, Alonzo, isn't it really cautious when they're dealing with, since this is when we deal with life insurance, that is still a racist institution, as you mentioned today, that, isn't it best favor that enough people don't really know how to use it properly, and they expect that, especially black men, to continue the trajectory they are in, so that they can keep getting the money and not have to pay enough for free. Correct?
Absolutely correct.
There you have it.
And then really quick, I want to speak to the ladies, too. because we had that whole Sweetie chick, and this is detrimental to men. But I'm gonna drop it anyway because y'all, our community needs this. But y'all ladies, if y'all really was chasing after that bag and that sugar daddy, and you really wanted a dude to buy you a Birkin bag, which can cost anywhere from $40,000, $50,000 up, you would, like I told you, the white woman in Pleasantville would force your sugar daddy to get a life insurance policy. You'd be like, hey, sugar daddy, instead of giving me $40 for this over-under, why don't you spend that $40 monthly on the life insurance policy? Or, because you know you can pay for it once a year, or you can pay for a whole life policy with a single premium. So you can pay one time and never, ever pay again. And it's still a whole life policy that pays dividends and gets all those cash value accumulations and all that. Most people ain't in that predicament to drop 30, 40, 50 grand on a policy. But if you are, you know, there goes your old Birkin bag, sweetie. And you can have Birkin bags for life.
Hold on. I got to give you this. Wonderful. Wonderful. See, I tell you people, everybody asks Chaos, where you find such wonderful intellectual people on your pen? I don't know. It's just the grace of God. It's the chaos in me that I have to restore the order one way or the other. So it gives me the power of the gods to go find these people and bring them on this goddamn ship and reveal the information to save you sleeping people. It is my rightful duty to do this. I'm good. Anyway, anywhere they could find you, Alonzo Hall, for contact info?
Yes, you can find me in these YouTube streets, full name Alonzo Hall. You can find me on Instagram /ADH Wealth Solutions. In fact, here, I can put my info in the chat. It's probably a little easier. You can find me on Facebook. Yeah, pretty much it's just going to be my name, Alonzo Hall, everywhere. I try to live a LinkedIn level lifestyle, so you can just kind of find me anywhere. I'll put my email address in here. If anybody wants to email for a consult, you can go there. I'm also setting up a landing page so you can go schedule there. You can schedule through my Facebook. I don't know if I have the calendar on my YouTube. You can check Twitter. It's Hall_AKA. I have TikTok. I have no clue what my TikTok name is because I'm never on TikTok.
Okay.
But I realized that I needed it for social media.
Okay. Like I said, Alonzo Hall is everywhere on social media. People, if you're not subscribed to the brothers channel, TikTok, whatever, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now. Like always, I give all the information in the description of Chaos8Reign channel. And me wrapping all this up is that, the information is laid out. So the question asked, or what you should ask yourself, people, am I going to take my life seriously and not only get insurance, but get the right life insurance? Because I know most people since the pandemic got some form of insurance, God willing, but I guarantee it's not the one that Alonzo Hall has revealed today in this stream. So my advice, hit him up, set up a consultation, know how much it is, what it's worth, what the goods, the bad, ugly, and go through getting yourself real proper insurance. And it's very important now because, let's be honest, life is very uncertain now for us moving forward now in this 21st century. We're only in the first generation of 21st century people, and we still have another 30 to go to know where we stand as people, or just in general, what America is going to really look like. Is America really going to be tanning America in the next 30-something years? I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. If people are manipulating the environment as we see it being manipulated as we speak, Right now, things are very uncertain. Right now, as I see it, but I know one thing, that if we concern about the wealth of us as people, as Black people, we need to take the initiative and action now. Time is an investment, and time waits on no man and no woman. So thank you, Alonzo Hall, for coming as my guest again. And hey, don't be no stranger. If anything you want to bring up, anything new or whatever, please hit me up. Always, I do support you. And I'll tell you one thing. I guarantee you're going to get that big, serious payday with any of these athletes. Trust me on this. These dudes that's coming up now, Alonzo, are very smart.
True.
They're going to take their life and their destiny in their hands very seriously now. And just like Kwame Brown said, because he's one of the few young dudes that's born in the age that has some sort of intellect, I see the future being very much positive. All they need is the right people to be around to know how to grow and manage the wealth property. And I think having you around, I think that's going to be a possibility now. And I feel the security of a lot of men in the space. If they take on what you're doing, they'll be fine, in my book. And they're going to be okay. They're going to be fine. And trust me, if men are really serious moving forward, they're going to take these information that I lay out on my channel or anybody else to apply and make use of it now. So, but that's all I'm going to say. Thank you again, Alonzo, for calling in. And like always, we'll talk again soon, brother. And like I said, subscribe to Alonzo Hall's channel too on YouTube, people. I'm saying, I know I'm a subscriber, so anytime around, I'm a stranger in the chat room. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for all that was listening into today's stream, thank y'all for listening. If you missed what you heard, like always, this channel and others are on Chaos Reign channel. So if you're not subscribed to Chaos Reign channel, what you're waiting for, hit that red button and hit that top bell, that little top nice little bell, go ding. And always like the videos, leave your comments, thoughts, and feelings on Chaos Reign channel. I'd like to hear from you. Also, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook, Erick Reign. Twitter, at Chaos8Reign7. And like always, I'll leave the links to those in descriptions. Other than that, thank y'all for listening. Till next time, take care and good night.
Good show, bro.
Yep, you're welcome.
I would like to give a personal shout out and thanks to Alonzo Hall, insurance consultant. And like always, you can follow him. His links, his social media, his YouTube channel, etc. All links will be in the description of this podcast / YouTube stream. And like always, comment, subscribe, and like this video. You can now follow me on Twitter at Chaos7, Facebook, Erick Reign, and all other social media outlets. Thank you for listening. Until next time, Chaos Reign.